I can do anything. I can reach any goal today. I can do what I want. I can be what I want to be.
Hi guys, I'm Katie Azevedo from SchoolHabits.com. Today's video is about how to stop procrastinating. Simple title. Not the simplest concept. So we all procrastinate and we all want to stop procrastinating. So why is it so hard? So before you can learn how to stop procrastinating, you have to understand why we procrastinate. There's scientific or psychological reasons that we keep putting our projects off. There are reasons why we think it'll be easier or better to do the thing tomorrow. And there are reasons why when tomorrow comes, we think we'll just do it tomorrow. So why do we procrastinate? So Joseph Ferrari, just like the coolest name ever, he's an associate professor at psychology at DePaul University in Chicago. He has identified 3 different types of chronic procrastinators. So there's the thrill seekers. Those guys want the rush of last-minute tasks. They seek out that thrill. Now there's the avoiders, and those are the folks who avoid tasks out of fear. And the decision procrastinators, which is my mom, who feel overwhelmed with the responsibility of making and owning a decision. And so therefore they don't. I love you, Mom, I'm just saying. I've identified you. So here I'm going to focus on the second type of procrastinator, the avoiders. So in most cases, students who chronically put off homework assignments and projects tend to be avoiders. Okay, so why does an avoider procrastinate? Fear. There's your answer. Now, if we feel excited about a task and we know how to go about completing it, we will complete it on time. And this is because we don't tend to procrastinate on tasks that we feel confident and enthusiastic about. Now, on the other hand, if we feel even the slightest bit of fear around the task, fear based on anything really, then we're gonna procrastinate like crazy, okay? It's easier to stop procrastinating than it is to say the word. Now, it's a survival technique, really. We want to avoid what we're fearful of. So if you want to stop procrastinating, you have to figure out what you're afraid of. So it could be something obvious like failure. We're afraid of failure. Or something maybe less obvious like being judged. That's a little more internal. And then once you figure out what you're really afraid of, then you can take the steps to get over it. This will be easier to understand if we looked at an example. So let's say that you have a history project due in 2 days. You were given the assignment a week ago. Sounds like all of us. You keep telling yourself that you'll do it tomorrow, but then you can never find the motivation once tomorrow comes. This is where you dig deeper to discover what the real issue is. Why are you not motivated? What are you afraid of? So here's a couple questions to ask yourself. And we're gonna come back to these. So number 1, are you afraid of doing the project wrong and getting a bad grade? That's a legit fear. Are you afraid, this is number 2, are you afraid that you don't know how to begin the project and so you just don't? Number 3, are you afraid that you won't have enough time to finish it even if you start right now? Number 4, are you afraid that someone won't like your work? And number 5, are you afraid that you won't like your work? Number 6, are you afraid that you won't be able to handle the amount of work involved? Number 7, are you afraid it won't be perfect? What are you really afraid of? So we already know that the first step to procrastination is to figure out what you're afraid of. Yes, that has brought us to this point so far. So the next step is to do whatever you can to address that particular fear. So going back to our example, let's work through all 7 possible reasons. That's why I listed them out. For your fear. So number 1, the fear could have been that you were afraid of doing the project wrong and getting a bad grade. That was the first item in the list. So the solution could be ask your teacher to clarify the directions to be sure that you're doing it correctly. Be certain you understand exactly what you're supposed to do. And then think about all the other times that you felt insecure about your work. Did any of it really result in an end of the world situation? No, of course it didn't. Remind yourself that fear is not fact. Number 2, the second fear could have been that you're afraid that you don't know how to begin the project. Here's the solution. Same as in the previous step, ask your teacher to clarify the directions before you get started. But then break the project down into bite-sized pieces. So make every step, every big step, a series of smaller steps that you list out on paper. So break down a large task like pick a topic, that's a big task, into smaller tasks like 1, look through the notes and text to see topic options. 2, narrow options down to 3. 3, run them by your teacher. And 4, pick one. So those are 4 smaller tasks that you distilled from the larger task. Much easier if they're small chunks. So number 3, the fear could have been that you're afraid that you won't have enough time to finish your project even if you start right now. What's the solution? Start right now. Yeah. The longer you wait, actually 10 minutes ago, right? The longer you wait, the less time you're gonna have to work, which is just proving your fear right. The fourth fear, this is why I teach English, the fourth fear could be you're afraid someone won't like your work. Solution: ask yourself why you care if someone else won't like your work. As we get older, our skin gets thicker and we learn to place more value on how we feel about ourselves than on how other people feel about us. But that comes in time and is still even kind of hard. Now, if you're afraid that your teacher won't like your work, that's something different. Then you need to make sure that you check in with him or her throughout the process to see if you're going in the right direction. If you're afraid that your classmates or friends won't like your work, first, try to value your own opinion over theirs. But then see if you can make arrangements with your teacher to keep your work private. So maybe if the whole class is presenting, maybe you can just present to her after class instead of in front of everybody, because that's an anxiety that people have. And the 5th fear could be you're afraid that you won't like your work. The solution, it's actually a tough one, as self-confidence is difficult to grow on demand. But try to be proud of all the little accomplishments along the way, such as finally committing to starting, finally picking a topic, finally doing the research, finally writing a first draft, etc. If you feel little bursts of pride along the way, you'll have more confidence in your final product. The 6th fear, possible fear, could be you're afraid of the amount of work involved. Solution: same solution here actually as in a couple steps back. Break the larger tasks into smaller manageable tasks that are less overwhelming. Now, what you originally perceived as a huge step might not seem so huge after all if it's actually just comprised of 5 teeny tiny steps. Also, yeah, it's gonna take a lot of work. But all good things take work, and not all work is bad. Whoever said that work is bad, that is a misconception. And the last one, the last possible fear, is that you're afraid it won't be perfect. Here's the solution: accept that it won't be. Everyone who knows me, who's watching this, is probably laughing at me as I say this because I am a true perfectionist and I know how hard it is to accept imperfection. I am so flawed, just like anyone else is. Seriously, nobody and nothing is perfect. But done is better than perfect. So do your 100% as always, and you'll end up with something to be proud of. I don't personally struggle with procrastination anymore because I am addicted to the feeling of being done with a task. That's a mind shift I went through years ago, and it's amazing. But I do struggle with perfectionist tendencies, the good and the bad. So there's another perspective on procrastination. Tim Pitchell, a Carleton University professor, has identified 6 attributes of procrastination. He says that we procrastinate when a task is one of the following: boring, frustrating, difficult, if it lacks personal meaning or intrinsic reward, if it's ambiguous, which means unclear, or if it's unstructured. Tim's idea is that all of these characteristics produce negative feelings. So in our attempt to avoid or reduce negative feelings, we avoid the task, and that makes sense. But that only temporarily solves the problem. So similar to what I outlined earlier with the 7 possible aspects we fear, and the specific solutions to each of those aspects, we could break down Tim's 6 negative attributes of a task and turn each one on its head. So for example, to make a task less boring, make a game out of it, perhaps going as fast as you can or competing with someone else. Use the Pomodoro technique. To make a task less frustrating, break it down into smaller tasks. To make a task less difficult, be clear about the directions and also break those steps down again. To give a task more personal meaning, think about how the experience of completing the project will enrich you, or even someone else. To make a task less ambiguous, so more clear, ask your teacher to clarify the instructions. To give a task more structure, make a to-do list and schedule all of the steps you need to take and when you're going to take them. Before I finish though, we're almost done. I just have to address the other huge reason why people procrastinate. Laziness. We're all guilty of it, and I'm not standing on a pedestal here as I talk about this one. But as human as laziness is, it totally sucks. If you deliberately avoid an assignment because you don't feel like doing it, I challenge you to be better. Procrastination feels good in the moment, I get it, but it completely backfires later. It will backfire. So if you're lazy, get unlazy. Or dig deeper and find out what you are really afraid of. So hopefully these tips here help you understand your procrastination tendencies a little bit more and perhaps inspire you to get off YouTube and start your project right now. Right? And as always, you can find me on SchoolHabits.com. Email me at katie@SchoolHabits.com. You can find me all over at social media. And please like the video or subscribe below if you found any value to it. Thanks for watching.